In 1968, a 5-year-old girl vanished into the woods of Transylvania. 5 years later, she walked out, wearing the exact same clothes, not having aged a single day. This is Hoia Baciu. In western Romania, it has been called many things: the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, a gateway to another dimension, a hotspot for UFO activity. In western Romania, just outside the city of Cluj-Napoca, there is a forest that has been called many things: the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, a gateway to another dimension, a hotspot for UFO activity, a psychological experiment conducted by nature itself. For more than half a century, Hoia Baciu Forest has been associated with unexplained disappearances, electromagnetic anomalies, strange light phenomena, and one of the most disturbing missing child cases in Eastern European folklore. But behind the legends, behind the ghost stories and the viral headlines, lies a more complex question. Is Hoia Baciu truly anomalous? Or is it a perfect storm of geology, psychology, Cold War secrecy, and human expectation? Hoia Baciu Forest covers roughly 250 hectares on the outskirts of Cluj-Napoca in Transylvania. Unlike dense wilderness areas, this forest is relatively accessible. It sits near residential zones and farmland, which makes its reputation even more unusual. The strange reports do not originate from remote isolation. They occur close to civilization. The forest gained its name from a local shepherd, according to legend, who disappeared with a flock of 200 sheep. There is no surviving official documentation of this event, and historians largely treat it as folklore. However, the story persisted long enough to become part of regional identity. The modern mystery began in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Biologist Alexandru Sift began documenting unusual light phenomena within the forest. Over several years, he collected photographic evidence of luminous shapes appearing above the tree line. Sift claimed these lights behaved intelligently, changing direction and speed. His work was never formally validated by Western institutions, but it circulated within Romanian academic circles. Then came 1968. On August 18, 1968, military technician Emil Barnea reportedly captured a photograph of a disc-shaped object hovering above Hoia Baciu. The image spread internationally. Unlike many blurred UFO photos, Barnea's image appeared relatively clear. Analysts debated its authenticity. Skeptics suggested lens artifacts or misidentified aircraft. Supporters argued the object's shape and shadowing were inconsistent with known aircraft of the era. Regardless of interpretation, the photograph permanently linked Hoia Baciu with UFO culture. From that point forward, the forest was no longer just local folklore. It became global mystery territory. Among all the stories connected to Hoia Baciu, one stands above the rest. According to widely circulated accounts, a 5-year-old girl disappeared at the edge of the forest while playing near her home. Search efforts were immediate and extensive. The terrain was not vast wilderness. It was wooded but navigable. Volunteers, local authorities, and tracking dogs searched repeatedly. No remains, no clothing, no evidence of animal attack, no trace. Time passed. 5 years later, the girl allegedly reappeared near the same area, physically alive, disoriented, wearing the same clothing. She reportedly believed she had been gone only a short time. Some accounts claim she spoke of an unfamiliar woman guiding her. The most striking element of the story is temporal perception. According to the legend, she had not aged in proportion to the missing years, though this detail varies depending on the source. Here is where things become complicated. There is no publicly accessible official record confirming the event. The story survives through regional accounts, paranormal literature, and later media retellings. For some, that undermines its credibility. For others, the absence of documentation is part of the mystery, particularly given Romania's Cold War-era record transparency. One of the most physically observable anomalies in Hoia Baciu is a near-perfect circular clearing known as Poiana Rotunda. Vegetation grows around it, but inside the circle, trees fail to develop properly. Soil analyses have reportedly found no extreme chemical imbalance sufficient to prevent growth. Some botanists suggest soil compaction or historical land use patterns could explain the phenomenon. Paranormal researchers argue otherwise. The clearing is frequently described as the epicenter of unusual activity. Spikes in electromagnetic readings, increased reports of nausea and anxiety, photographic anomalies, malfunctioning electronics. Geophysicists have proposed that underground mineral deposits could influence localized magnetic fluctuations. There is no peer-reviewed consensus confirming a unique electromagnetic anomaly, but the reports persist. Visitors frequently report sudden headaches, skin irritation or scratches, feelings of being watched, disorientation, sudden temperature drops. From a scientific perspective, several mechanisms could contribute. 1. Infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that can induce anxiety, unease, and visual disturbances. 2. Electromagnetic field exposure. Certain frequencies have been associated with mood shifts. 3. Suggestibility. Studies show that when individuals enter a location primed for fear, their brains amplify ambiguous stimuli. Environmental psychologist research demonstrates that expectation dramatically alters sensory processing. If someone believes they are entering a haunted forest, their perception changes before anything happens. But again, psychology explains perception. It does not explain disappearances. Romania in the 1960s operated under strict governmental control. Information was curated. Records were limited. Public transparency was minimal. If an unusual incident occurred, especially one that could spark panic, documentation might not have survived public transition after regime changes. This context fuels the argument that the girl's case could have been real, but poorly archived. However, absence of evidence is not evidence of suppression. It is also consistent with folklore evolution. Today, Hoia Baciu is one of the most visited paranormal destinations in Europe. Night tours operate regularly. Investigators bring EMF meters, thermal cameras, audio recorders. Some leave disappointed. Others report shadow figures, unexplained knocks, and electronic interference. Modern investigations have not produced conclusive proof of paranormal activity, but they also have not eliminated all anomalies. The forest occupies a strange middle ground, never fully validated, never fully debunked. Hoia Baciu is often compared to the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, and the Aokigahara Forest in Japan. In each case, we see a pattern. Location gains reputation. Reports increase. Media attention amplifies. Tourism follows. Further reports accumulate. This feedback loop strengthens legend and perception. The question becomes, does the phenomenon create the reputation? Or does the reputation create the phenomenon? If the missing girl's story is legend, it reflects something powerful about human narrative. If it is true, it represents one of the strangest disappearance accounts in European history. Hoia Baciu may not be a portal. It may not distort time. It may not hide interdimensional rifts, but it undeniably distorts certainty. In that forest, fact and folklore intertwine so tightly that separating them becomes nearly impossible. And maybe that's the real anomaly. Not the lights, not the clearing, not the vanished shepherd, but the way certain places refuse to fit neatly into explanation. If you walked into Hoia Baciu tomorrow, would you find a quiet woodland near a Romanian city? Or would you find something waiting just beyond what we currently understand? That depends on whether mystery lives in the forest or in us. If this story stayed with you, you know what to do.